So welcome again. Welcome in yourselves. Welcome in your entire being, exactly as you are right now. Maybe taking in a couple of deep breaths, filling up the belly, and then a long exhale. Just letting go of anything that wants to be let go right now, any tension, any tightness in the body that might want to be let go right now. Again, eyes open, eyes closed, whatever works for you. Lying, sitting, standing. And just getting to know the quality of the mind right now, the attitude of the mind. Checking in with your heart, checking in with the body. And then bringing your attention to those areas of the body that are in contact with the chair or the cushion, maybe the feet on the ground. Noticing the sensations here as the body kind of comes in contact with a cushion or the chair. Maybe sensations of warmth or coolness. The softness or stiffness of the surface holding you. And then just allowing the body to kind of gently and safely sink into the surface holding you, fully embraced here by the earth. Gravity keeps you in place. Giving into all these invisible forces that are always acting around us. And allowing yourself to just gently come to this moment, allowing anything else to just kind of fade away from the focal point, and bringing your attention to the body, sitting, lying, standing here. And the area around the belly. Noticing if there's any tension or tightness in this area, as is often the case. And if it feels right for you to let go of any tension or tightness, maybe taking a deep breath, bringing the breath to these areas, and then just allowing any tension, any tightness to just resolve. If it feels right. And if this doesn't feel right now, the body still wants to hold on to some of it, it's okay. It will change on its own. Maybe you can feel the breath here in the belly. It's allowing the belly to expand on the in-breath and contract on the out-breath. If you notice that there's still a lot in the mind, a lot of thinking, planning, things to do, it's okay, just noticing that. And doing your best to kindly score your attention back to just the breath, the body breathing, the belly expanding on the in-breath, contracting on the out-breath. And there's no need to force the breath or change or control the breath in any way. Just allowing the body to breathe all on its own. Doesn't need any help from you or anyone else. So just allowing it to breathe however it needs to breathe right now, because that's just right for this moment. Maybe noticing the urge to do this right, to get it right. Maybe noticing the edge to change things and not just allowing them to be. And if you notice any of this, that's okay. Just getting to know the process of the mind without judgment, accepting that that's what the mind does. There's no particular place to go right now. There's nowhere to go. There's no particular way of being right now than just being here. And the only thing that matters in this moment is your kind attention on the breath. That's it. And ultimately, that's the only thing that ever matters. The breath. Whether it's faint, whether it's strong and deep and shallow, doesn't matter. It's always here. If you're here, you're breathing. And as John Kabat-Zinn would say, and as long as you're breathing, everything is okay. So this constant reminder that as long as you're breathing, you're still here, you're still alive. There's still possibility. And maybe it's hard to see possibilities sometimes. So maybe hope, even though it's more passive, might be a good start. So allowing all the words to just be heard, maintaining your attention and your breathing. Allowing the mind to settle on the breath and the breath to settle on the body. And now turning your attention to any thoughts, the thinking process of the mind, maybe words, sentences, images. The mind has very clever ways to take us away from paying attention. Sometimes amusing images can come in. So just acknowledging that these are thoughts as well and coming back to just watching this process and allowing the mind to kind of settle, allowing the attention to be focused on whatever rises, but allowing it to come and go. And just watching thoughts as if they were clouds in the sky, passing one after the other. You might notice that the moment we turn our attention towards thoughts, kind of fade away sometimes. And then it seems like there is no thoughts, but that's a thought on itself. The realization that there's no thoughts is still a thought. So just noticing what rises in the mind. And thoughts are often what lead the attitude of the mind. So getting to know the thinking process is really important. Noticing how thoughts are kind of born and they have a very short lifespan and then they kind of fade away. And another thought comes in, one after another. Whenever you notice yourself getting carried away, getting taken by the story, just really noticing where the mind went, making a note of that. And then coming right back to just watching thoughts, allowing thoughts to pass. And by watching, I don't mean the visual idea of thoughts, but being aware of them, noticing them, getting to know them. What is the quality of the mind? What are these thoughts about? Without entertaining them, without getting carried away by them, but just noticing them. And thoughts are like the paintbrush. They color the mind. This is how we practice the attitudes of the mind. How are thoughts coloring the mind right now? What is the nature of the mind when we think certain things? Just being able to understand that thoughts come and go. They're not necessarily real. They're just a normal process of the mind. And whenever you turn your attention towards the thoughts, just kind of fade away. They're like that bursting bubble of soap. The moment you become aware of it, it just pops. And this is where we can find a sense of hope. The possibility of what can be. And perhaps the hope comes from knowing that what we think is not necessarily real. That this is just a natural process of the mind that is conditioned. Believing our thoughts could be very limiting. But observing them as a natural process of the mind can be very freeing. And right there is where we can see possibility for what can be. So there's a story that I wanted to share with you about a tree, because I love trees. So it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a small enchanted forest. And this could be any forest, anywhere. It could only exist in your imagination, maybe. Maybe it's green and lushy. But in this forest, there could be even different times for this forest. And in this forest, there's different trees. There's apple trees, there's pear trees, there's orange trees, and there's beautiful rose bushes among anything else that you like it to be. And everybody was very happy in this enchanted forest, except for a very lonely tree who always felt deep sadness. Well, it sounds like this tree had a problem. It couldn't give any fruit. And this tree would go around with its head down. I don't know who I am, he'll say to himself. You need to learn to concentrate more, will reply the apple tree. If you try this, you would be able to grow great apples. Don't listen to him, would say the rose bush. It is much easier to give roses, and they're beautiful. Just look at me. Desperate, the tree tried every suggestion. but nothing. Every time he would grow more and more frustrated. But one day, an owl arrived to this enchanted forest. The owl is known to be the wisest of all birds. And seeing this tree's desperation, the owl said, "Don't worry, your problem is not that bad. Your problem is shared by many, many in this earth. I've flown across the oceans. I've flown to different forests. This problem is very common," it said. "Don't waste your life living trying to be how everybody wants you to be. Just be you. Learn to know yourself. All you need to do is tune into yourself," said the owl. "All the answers are within." The tree said, "Answers within? Be myself. Get to know myself?" He didn't get it yet, and he will grow more desperate. It took some time while he contemplated these ideas, and little by little it started to feel stronger, more self-assured, and eventually a voice from within emerged. The voice said, "You will never give apples because you're not an apple tree. You won't grow roses because you're not a rose bush. You're an oak tree. Your destiny is to grow big and majestic and give shelter to all the birds, shade to all travelers, and beauty to this forest. This is who you are. Believe who you are." Slowly, the tree started to feel stronger every time and more self-assured, and eventually grew into this majestic tree. And it took its place in this enchanted forest. So during my trainings with John Kabat-Zinn, I'd often hear him say, "Don't believe your thoughts." And I think many other great teachers have said the same. See, thoughts are very limiting, and they're often a product of our past, knowledge we've accumulated over the years, and they just keep emerging in this habitual way. And so our experience, our past experience, as I said before, shapes our thinking. So whatever we think more of now is also going to shape our future. So they're only limited to the life we know so far. So being able to just explore this could be really helpful. And I think this all goes back to discernment. And we often speak of discernment over and over. The discernment of whether this thought is helpful or unhelpful in this moment. So learning to tune into the thinking mind and noticing, is this helpful or unhelpful? Is this contributing to my happiness or unhappiness? So through our practice, we learn to make that distinction. And once we do this, we can open up to hope. And hope is passive, right? It's just a little bit of light out there, but maybe eventually possibility, seeing new ways. And so just allowing for the time being to this, allowing this story, these thoughts about this, and noticing how even the story can create thoughts. And the mind is always going to create thoughts. And this is when we use discernment. Maybe this will be a useful one. Maybe this will be something that we can keep with us. So discerning whether they're helpful or unhelpful. So I thank you for this time, and thank you for being here, and also deep gratitude towards yourself for allowing for this time to sit here with yourself, to make the commitment to being with the moment exactly as it is, without searching for anything else that could be distracting or take you away from whatever it is that you're present with right now.